Hello students and welcome back to our class at the rate Unit Plus 2.0. We will continue with some basic concepts of chemistry, class 11. Now today we learn about the chemical combinations, how elements combine to form compounds, and they follow certain rules, and these rules are laws of conservation of mass, laws of definite proportion, laws of multiple proportions, Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes, and Avogadro's law. Now we'll go through these laws one by one. Now, law of conservation of mass. Now this law states that mass can neither be created nor destroyed, and this law was put forward by Antonio Lavoisier. Now he stated this around in 1789, and he meant that the total mass should be equal before and after the reaction. What he meant was that he conducted a series of experiments, and in those experiments he observed that the masses of the reactants were similar to the masses of the products after the reaction. So that's what he states, that the masses can neither be created nor destroyed. We'll go on to laws of definite proportion. Now, this law is also called as law of definite composition. We'll come to know why. First, we'll see what the law states. The law states that a given compound always contains exactly the same proportion of elements by weight. Now, this law was given to us by a renowned scientist, Joseph Proust. And he said that suppose if we take water as an example. Now, if we take water from our home, the tap water, and if we drink water from the ocean, you'll see the composition of water will always be same, that is H2O. It will always have H2O no matter where the origin is. Now, he took a sample of cupric carbonate, and he bought two samples of it. One was from the natural origin and one was synthetic origin. Synthetic means it was made in a lab. Now, he found out the percentage of copper and the percentage of oxygen and carbon were all similar. So, as the law states that a given compound contains exactly the same number of elements present in it, no matter where the compound is brought from. Moving on further to the law of multiple proportion. Now, law of multiple proportion was brought forward by a scientist Dalton. He stated that if two elements can combine of one element that combine with a fixed mass of the other element, they are in a ratio of small whole numbers. Now, what he said is, now if we take an element in a fixed ratio and add on other elements in different amounts, so that will, give us many other elements. Now, he has given an example of what H2O, hydrogen and oxygen. Now, hydrogen combines with water to form oxygen to form water, and it also combines with oxygen to form hydrogen peroxide. Now, you see 2 grams of hydrogen combine to form with 16 grams of oxygen to form 18 grams of water, and 2 grams of hydrogen combine with 32 grams of oxygen to form 34 grams of hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, and water is H2O. Now you see the amount of hydrogen taken is fixed, 2 grams, and oxygen is 16 and 32. Now if you take the values 16 is to 32, we get a ratio of 1:2. So, like the law states, the elements are in a ratio of small whole numbers. So that is what he explained in this law. Further on to Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes. Now, this law deals with gases combining. Now, he said this, that when gases react, they do so in volume ratios. They are in simple whole numbers, provided that all gases are measured at the same time. I guess the slide has moved. We'll continue with it. When gases react, they do so in volume ratios. Now, when the previous laws we saw those were in grams. The amount of elements were in grams, but here we are learning in volume, that are in simple whole numbers, provided that all gases are measured at the same temperature and pressure. Means the conditions of the gases should be similar. Now, what he said that when two volumes of hydrogen combine with one volume of oxygen, they form two volumes of water. So, over here, we have taken 100 ml of hydrogen and 50 ml of oxygen, to which the ratio comes up to 2:1. Okay, now this law was stated around 1809, and the law is also referred to as sometimes as law of combining volumes. Alright. Further, we'll come up to Avogadro's law. Now, Avogadro stated that equal volumes of all gases at the same temperature and pressure should contain the same number of molecules. What he meant was, now if we are obviously taking the example of water. Over here he has said that 2 volumes of hydrogen and 1 volume of oxygen. So he also he means that 1 volume of hydrogen plus 1 volume of hydrogen plus 1 volume of oxygen gives 2 volumes of water. These molecules, these atoms individually, not atoms but we say elements, contain some equal amount of molecules, is what Avogadro stated. Now, moving further, now since we have gone through all these laws, now we will also come to atomic theory. And going through atomic theory, we will first come up with Dalton's atomic theory, because in atomic theory, Dalton only had put forward his thesis. Now, he said that matter consists of indivisible atoms, means atoms can neither be further divided into electrons, protons, which now we know that atom is divided into electrons and protons, but at that time Dalton said that atoms, being a very small element or very small entity, it cannot be further divided. Now, all atoms of a given element have identical properties, including identical mass. Atoms of different elements differ in mass. Means, suppose if we take hydrogen atom, now hydrogen atom, and if we take many more hydrogen atoms, they all will have the same atomic mass, and they will all have the same properties, atomic properties. So, and different elements like hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, these are different elements, so they will be having different mass and different atomic properties or elemental properties. Now, thirdly, he said that compounds are formed when atoms of different elements combine in a fixed ratio. Now, over here he is trying to say that compounds of different elements, if we say hydrogen plus oxygen, they combine H2O2, they combine to form water. But he didn't believe that oxygen combines together. He meant to say that elements of different origins combine, and not origin but different elements combine, and same elements cannot combine. Now, fourthly, he said chemical reactions involve reorganization of atoms. These are neither created nor destroyed in a chemical reaction. Now, if you see over here, I have given a chemical reaction. He has stated that in a chemical reactions, atoms are reorganizing themselves and they are not destroyed. So, and they do not create a new product. Now, moving further, we'll learn about atomic mass and molecular mass. Dalton's theory was proved to be wrong later on, when now modern atomic theory has come up. But we'll look up to that later. And first, we learn about atomic and molecular mass, which is very important based on your exams. Now, atomic mass. What is atomic mass? Atomic mass is nothing but mass of an atom. And what is molecular mass? Molecular mass is nothing but mass of a molecule. Further on, what else we can say about molecular mass? Molecular mass is the sum of the number of atoms present in the molecule, is what we can say. So, if we have hydrogen atom, So the atomic mass of hydrogen is 1. But hydrogen molecule, H2 molecule, so it is atomic mass of hydrogen plus atomic mass of hydrogen, or either we can say 2H, that is 2 into 1. Now, how to find atomic mass? Now, molecular mass we can find through atomic mass, but how will you find atomic mass? Now, in today's world, it is possible, in today's generation, it is possible by mass spectrometry, by this instrument where you can get the exact atomic mass. But earlier, in the early days, we did not have so sophisticated instruments. So, they kept hydrogen atom as a reference, where the atomic mass of hydrogen is still 1. Okay. Now, currently in the current scenario, we have C12. Carbon 12 is taken as the reference, where we say 1 AMU, where we have given a unit. A1 AMU is 1/12 of the mass of carbon atom. All right. Now we'll see how. Now we want to find the value of 1 AMU. So 1 AMU, as I stated in the previous slide, is the 1/12 mass of a carbon atom. Firstly, we'll find the atomic mass of carbon atom. Of one C12 atom. Now you see, in a carbon atom, just go through, we have 6 protons and 6 neutrons, as well as 6 electrons. Now 2 electrons in the inner shell and 4 electrons in the outer shell. Alright, so the atomic mass of one C12 atom is nothing but the 6 into mass of protons plus 6 into mass of neutrons. Now, since mass of protons is equal to the mass of neutrons, so we have 12 into mass of protons. We can add it. Now, we have 12 into 6.0, no, 1 second. Eraser. Alright, it's all erased, but I'll write it again for you. First, we'll find out one mass of one C12 atom, 6 mass of protons plus 6 mass of neutrons. Mass of protons is equal to mass of neutrons, so 12 mass of protons, which will be 12 into 1.66 into 10 raised to the power of minus 24. Alright, now I wanted to find the value of 1 AMU, that is 1/12 of the mass of a C12 atom. Now we can add values like 1/12 into 12 into 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 24. So we get, if we cut the 12, and we'll get 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 24. That is 1 AMU is equal to 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 24. We can also say that 1 AMU is indirectly equal to mass of a proton Is it? Now, we'll move further. Now, we'll try to know about average atomic mass. Now, why do we need to know average atomic mass? Now, average atomic mass, see, now we have isotopes in many of the elements. So we have taken an example of carbon. Now, carbon has 3 isotopes, C12, C13 and C14. Now, and we see the atomic mass unit of all these carbon isotopes is 12, 13 and 14 respectively. Right now, don't take these points into consideration. Now, from the above data, if we calculate it, like multiplying the relative abundance into average atomic mass, as I have done over here, we'll get a value of 12.011 unit. Now, the average atomic mass of carbon comes up to 12.00. Now, the average atomic mass of C12 is 12. But if we are asked that what is the average atomic mass of carbon atom, so it will be 12.011 units. Now, coming up further, let's calculate molecular masses. Now, molecular masses is what I have said in a previous slide is the sum of the atomic mass present in that molecule. Now, over here we'll solve examples. Over here, first is water. So, over here, 2 into atomic mass of hydrogen plus 1 into atomic mass of oxygen. That is 2 into 1 plus 1 into 16, which comes up to 2 plus 16 will give us 18 units. Now, atomic molecular mass can be given a value in U. The SI unit can be U, is U actually. Let's solve methane. CH4. Over here, 1 into atomic mass of carbon plus 4, because over here 4 hydrogens are present, so 4 into atomic mass of hydrogen, which comes up to 1 into 12 plus 1 into 4 into 1. 12 plus 4, 16 units. Now, I would expect that you people would find out the molecular mass of carbon dioxide and let me know. Now, we come up to formula mass. Now, why do we need to learn about formula mass? Now, in some elements, they don't have a discrete entity, okay, like ionic compounds. Over here, I have given a specific example of NaCl. HCl, those also come into picture, but right now I have given an example of NaCl. Over here, in NaCl, sodium is positively charged and chlorine is negatively charged, and they combine, positive and negatively charged, they combine to form NaCl. Now, formula mass is the sum of atomic masses of the ions present in the formula unit of an ionic compound. Means it says how many numbers of sodium atom is present and chlorine atom is present. Now, as I have solved over here, the atomic mass of sodium plus the atomic mass of chlorine, which is 23 for sodium and 35.5, where we get a value of 58.5 units. So this says how much of sodium and chlorine is present in this particular compound. Moving further, we will know about the difference of formula mass and molecular mass. Now, As I said before, formula mass is the atomic masses of the ions present in the formula. You can see it is the atomic mass of the ions present in the formula unit of the compound. Whereas molecular mass is the sum of the masses of the atoms. Over here there should be T in the molecules. Now over here this is linked with the empirical formula, whereas this is linked with the molecular formula. Over here I have given an example of glucose, C6H12O6, where we know that there are 6 carbon atoms, 12 hydrogen atoms and 6 oxygen atoms present in glucose. Now in sodium chloride there is a 1:1 ratio present. Now empirical formula of glucose also can be removed, where we can see CH2O means 1:2:1. So empirical formula is nothing but the amount, not the amount, but the elements present in the compound. Now we come to mole concept. Now why do we need to learn about mole concept? Now mole concept, suppose we get a sample. In the lab we get a sample and we have asked a question like, in 1 gram of sample, how many molecules are present? So we are given a value of 1 mole is equal to 6.22 into 10 raised to. This is raised to, means 23. Raised to 23. This is a very large number. 10 raised to 23 means a very, where if we write 6, 0, 2, 2 and you add 23 zeros after this, going on. So it's a very large number. So you can imagine how many molecules will be present in 1 gram. 1 gram, maybe even more. But I am talking about 1 mole. Now, in an when we go to buy something, suppose we go to buy bananas, and I say, okay, give me 12 bananas. All right. So I can't. 12 bananas are given a value of 1 dozen. 12 being a big number, but I have given a small unit, that is 1 dozen. If I want to go and say give me 60 bananas, that means I need 5 dozen of bananas. So similarly, I can say there are 5 moles of this particular atom present. That means I know 1 mole is equal to 6.022 into 10 raised to 23, but then 5 moles, that is 5 into 6.022 into 10 raised to 23, that goes to have a very big value. So that is why we have 6.22 into 10 raised to given a smaller denotation, that is 1 mole. Now in the SI unit, mole is given as the 7th base quantity for the amount of a substance. Now why should we count molecules? Why do we need to count molecules? Suppose if we mix water and salt. Okay, now I want to know how many water molecules are reacting with sodium molecules, sodium or chlorine molecules in a particular solution. So to know the amount of reaction taking place between the particles, I need to know the molecular count. So 1 mole is the amount of a substance that contains as many discrete entities as there are atoms in exactly 12 grams of carbon 12. I can explain to you in the next slide. Now, 1 mole of the amount is the amount of a substance that contains as many discrete entities as there are atoms in exactly 12 gram of C12 isotope. Now, mass of one C12 atom is, as we learned in the previous slide, that is say 6 mass of protons into 6 plus 6 into mass of neutrons, where I said that mass of protons is also equal to mass of neutrons of a carbon atom. So 12 into mass of protons, that is 12 into 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 24. All right. Now since one carbon atom has the mass of one carbon atom is 12 into 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 24. So 12 grams of carbon is how much? So I have given a equation over here from which we get a value of 6.22 into 10 raised to minus, no minus, plus 23 of C12 atoms, that which is nothing but 1 mole, that is equal to 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 grams. All right. Now, do you all remember there was a scientist who talked about the number of atoms or the number of molecules taking part in a reaction, and as I have written, obviously, you know the Avogadro's law. He said that the number of elements participating should be in equal numbers. So the value 1 mole is equal to 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 entities. Entities means anything, atoms, molecules. So don't be confused with entities and atoms or molecules if I have not written. Entities means anything. So that is called Avogadro's number. But there is also Avogadro's constant, and when we say Avogadro's constant, that means that 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 per mole. That's when we call it Avogadro's constant. Now, Avogadro's number is denoted by Na, as I have shown over here. N means number of molecules or atoms, and A is Avogadro's number. Avogadro. Next. Now, basically, mole concept is nothing but, I'm just giving a, go through or a summary of all of it. 1 mole of hydrogen atom is equal to 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 hydrogen atoms. 1 mole of water molecule is equal to 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 water molecules. 1 mole of sodium chloride is nothing but 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 units of NaCl. So it's nothing but the amount of atoms present in it. Now we'll come to molar mass. Now, mass of 1 mole of a substance in grams, it's called molar mass. You see, in moles, it was different. Non-molar mass we say a substance in grams. Okay? Now, molar mass of C12. Now, we'll take an example of this. Now, 1 mole, as we know in the previous slide we learned, is 6.022 into 10 raised to 23 carbon 12 atoms. So, 1 carbon 12 atom is 12 into 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 24 grams. You all remember, na? 12 into molecular mass of a proton. Now, 1 molar mass, that is, now we want to know about 1 molar mass. So, that is nothing but 12 into 1.66 into 10 raised to minus 24 into 6.022 into 10 raised to 23. Now, if we will solve this value, we'll get 12 grams. All right. So, 1 molar mass of C12 at C12 atom is 12 grams, and the atomic mass of C12 is 12 AMU. You see, there is a similarity. Both the values are same, but the SI units are different, which we will know about later. Please get your concepts clear, because these values and these formulas and are very important regarding your exams. Now, molar mass. Now, we'll do a comparison, and this is the last slide for today. Now, molar mass, if we compare, as I've shown before, C12 has similar average atomic mass, whereas molar mass is similarly in hydrogen. Similarly, in hydrogen, oxygen, sodium and chlorine, we see average atomic mass and molar mass are similar. You see, in hydrogen it is 1.005 and the molar mass is 1.005. Now, in oxygen, average atomic mass is 16.00 and molar mass is in grams per mole is 16.00. In sodium, the average atomic mass is 22.99 and the molar mass is gram in grams per mole is 22.99. Similarly with chlorine. So we see that the molar mass is numerically equal to the atomic, molecular and formula mass. All right, and that too in units. All right, I hope you all have got your concepts a bit clear. And if there are any doubts, please do write in the comments and let me know. Some of you all have said, "Ki ma'am, please speak in Hindi." So I can't literally speak in Hindi, but then mix some words with Hindi and English in my